Nigeria, and now you're talking South Africa. It seems to be getting closer to home. But I hope that our security measures are really tightened. I cannot believe it's getting through this far. And
I just love how social media, SA media, has just gone wild with this one. The memes, the jokes, everything is just out of control. I'm digging it.
I don't love it. I think it's taking the seriousness away from what it is. It's
panic. That's what we do as Africans. When we panic, we start to make memes. We start to do things. What we should do is
get masks. That's what we need to do. But anyway, we'll talk about that today in a snap. President Edgar Lungu is going to be addressing Parliament tomorrow, and this will be addressing the rest of the nation as well on national values and principles as well as morals. So we'll talk about that with Jackson Silavwe. But also another interesting subject we have tonight, and we want you to give us your response to that. First of all, we want you to tell us now what you expect the president, what issues you expect the president to address tomorrow. But also, what do you think? Do you think women should abort or terminate pregnancy whenever they feel like it? This debate has been raging on, especially on social media. Dr. Teddy Mulenga will be here to talk about abortion.
I'm looking forward to that one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Teddy, is it Dr. we had some time back?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Interested to hear what he has to say.
Oh. Man! Anyway, let's quickly take a look at what the day has been like today in a snap. Just try to do this stuff. The first snap for today is this. Just I just thought it was very interesting, and I want to get what you guys think and what the viewer thinks about this particular snap, which would be nice if. What do you think this is?
It's grassroots bullying. It starts from the mom bullying the child, and the child takes it out on other kids. Oh, that is so sad.
And creative, anyway.
Yeah.
Very creative, that picture. Tell us what you think it means. We're not the ultimate... Because it's... You know what? Take it back. I want to show you why they've drawn it like... because that
that kid. Yes. Okay, I've seen him. Okay, now I see it.
Yeah,
okay. I was just wondering, like...
The pictures tells 1,000
words. It does. I think it's a very deep picture. Yeah. To some extent sad, but yeah, that's what it is, and I think we should train. That's basically what that woman was saying. Your children, train them to be respectful of other people, train them not to bully other people. That's what I think that picture says. You tell us what you think it means. Of course, South Africa is also part of the snap, and just the fact that there was that confirmation today has left a lot of people shocked.
I think shocked. Everyone panicking. People, I think, just don't know how to react on social media. So, like, people are wilding out. But yeah, let's take a look at it.
Charles, can we have the pictures?
Coronavirus. First case confirmed in South Africa.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it coming to the south end of the African continent. Pretty much when I realized that it was in Nigeria, I kind of thought, okay, slowly getting to the rest of the continent.
South Africa is closer to Nigeria than we think. I know they are far miles apart, but South Africans and Nigerians are inseparable. But we also just thought it wise that we could give you some advice on how you could stay safe. After this, we're going to be hearing from what the Minister of Health has to say about how prepared the country is when it comes to coronavirus. But before that, just you should also stay safe.
Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the expert body on coronavirus, has released guidance for the general public and healthcare professionals on the symptoms of the virus. A person could be at risk if they have any or all of the following: fever and symptoms of lower respiratory illness, such as coughing or difficulty breathing after traveling to an area with the outbreak, or having close contact with someone who is ill and is now under investigation for the virus in the past 2 weeks. Fever or symptoms of lower respiratory illness after having close contact in the past 2 weeks with someone who has been confirmed of having the virus. The CDC defined close contact as being in about 6 feet, 1.8 meters, or within a room or care area of a person with the coronavirus for a prolonged period without appropriate protective clothing, or having direct contact with the infectious secretions of a person with the virus without protective clothing. Coronaviruses are particularly dangerous for people with weaker immune systems like young children and older adults. To protect yourself from the virus, try to avoid contact with people who display symptoms similar to those of pneumonia or the common cold by coughing or a running nose. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer when possible. Avoid animals and animal markets. The only current treatment for coronavirus being offered is supportive in nature. If you notice any of these symptoms and conditions, please contact your nearest professional healthcare center and get help.
All right, so that's the most we can do. Just give you a bit of some tips. You know, wash your hands. There isn't any cure for coronavirus at the moment. It's basically just supportive. You get cured if you are lucky. that's just basically how it is. But quickly, let's get from the official government position on what the Minister of Health has assured the country in terms of our preparedness with the coronavirus outbreak.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you profusely for allowing me this opportunity to update this House, and through this House, the nation, on the novel coronavirus known as the COVID-19 outbreak, to update the House on Zambia's level of preparedness. Mr. Speaker, the outbreak of the COVID-19 disease started in December 2019 and was epicentered in China, in Wuhan city of Hubei province. Today, Mr. Speaker, the disease has spread geographically to affect 80 countries and territories. This has affected 93,186 individuals and claimed 3,219 deaths by 6 o'clock this morning. Zambia has not recorded a case of coronavirus. However, because of the ease of spread of the virus, Zambia has escalated its level of alertness to maximum. And to this effect, His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, President of the Republic of Zambia, summoned an emergency cabinet meeting yesterday, at which an emergency contingency fund of 50 million kwacha was set up to enhance preparedness for coronavirus. Mr. Speaker, Zambia has enhanced surveillance at all its ports of entry, and with the setup of the Contingency Emergency Fund, will now enhance the Zambia National Public Health Institute and its partners and other line ministries to strengthen the response, to strengthen preparedness, and to ensure that public health security is enhanced. Mr. Speaker, the call to action in the emergency, in the response plan that will be enhanced through this emergency fund is as follows. The level of personal hygiene need to be enhanced, and we make a call to all individuals to enhance infection prevention at personal level by enhancing personal levels of hygiene. We further urge all local authorities to ensure their jurisdictions are cleaned up thoroughly. We further urge individuals who may be having a flu to ensure they cover the nose and the mouth as they sneeze. We call upon all managers of public places, workplaces, to ensure hand washing facilities are available at their places of work. We further call upon all associations that operate in congregate settings to ensure presence of sanitizers and hand washing facilities every time that they are doing what they do. Mr. Speaker, Zambia is a signatory of the international health regulations of the World Health Organization, and we note with concern sentiments attributed to some leaders in the political sphere that we must bar Chinese from traveling to Zambia and vice versa. Mr. Speaker, this is called social stigma, it's called xenophobia, this is called discrimination, and it's an affront to international health regulations and must be condemned in the strongest terms. Mr. Speaker, Zambia will operate within the international health guidelines and will follow guidance from the World Health Organization as it responds to this outbreak. I therefore call for unity of purpose as we fight the coronavirus, and this unity of purpose must be evident both at home and globally. Zambia commiserates with China and all countries globally that have lost lives due to coronavirus. Further, Zambia will work with all international partners to ensure that the global and local response is enhanced. Let me use then this opportunity to thank our partners that have worked with us in strengthening our response. Many partners, including the American Center for Disease Control, JICA, the Chinese Center for Disease Control, the United Nations through the World Health Organization, the Public Health Institute of England, and the Africa Center for Disease Control. Mr. Speaker, let me address the issue of our students that are domiciled in China. Our position as government is that we will not repatriate students from China, but would like to assure the public, the parents, and the citizens that the students in China are very well looked after by the Chinese authorities, by the Zambian embassy in China, and we are in constant touch with the authorities to ensure that their welfare is enhanced. Mr. Speaker, no Zambian has been suspected of contracting the COVID virus since the outbreak. Mr. Speaker, to further strengthen our response, we have embarked on a process to sign a statutory instrument that will make coronavirus disease, the COVID-19, notifiable, and furthermore, that will help us enforce quarantine laws for those who we decide to quarantine. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to emphasize that all our entry points at our ports, at our airports, land and seaports, have been reinforced with surveillance staff. We have stockpiled materials that we call personal protective equipment, and with the setup of the contingency fund, we shall stockpile some more. Training of rapid responders is ongoing, and as we speak, we're training in Lusaka, Chirundu, and the Copperbelt. Zambia remains on high alert, and is prepared for the COVID-19 response. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
There you have it. That's the Minister of Health says Zambia is prepared for COVID-19.
I think that's safe for him to say that, well, surveillance is being enhanced at all entry points. I think Zambians should feel safe. I think that this is probably time when we shouldn't politicize the whole situation. I think it's time that we really need, I mean, he talked about personal hygiene, how many times you wash your hands. Adopt
become a germaphobe.
Become a germaphobe.
Get masks if you want to. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I've seen a lot of people now.
It's better you are safe.
And you know what? I've seen a lot of
Chinese nationals. Yeah, they do that all the time.
always wearing masks.
Because they're way more disciplined than we are. That's just the truth. But yeah, that's at least it's assuring. I mean, there's no other option apart from being ready. There's no other option. You've just got to be ready. I mean, it's. I hate to say this, but it's getting closer and closer. It's literally in our backyard.
It literally is one touch
South
away.
Africa is
It's one touch
one
away.
sneeze away.
Exactly. So we need to start. Those who don't like washing hands, please just start washing hands. Carry hand sanitizer. Yeah, just be ready. Just take it upon yourself. Hey,
So stop that. But anyway, so as we wrap up today in a snap, just quickly. Today, social media, I don't know, went ablaze with a rumor that Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, Davis Mwila, was fired. But media director of the Patriotic Front, Sunday Chanda, came through and said, it's a lie. and yeah.
He released a statement, the Facebook page, also through various blogs, that it was actually fake news. Who actually gets to instill all of these? I mean,
but it usually comes from somewhere.
Yeah, there's no
and most of the
fire,
time, these kinds of rumors start from party officials themselves. So that's where it starts from.
But I mean, this is what I mean. There is so much power in social media right now, and anyone who says something about someone that is in an influential position, unfortunately, it just has to blow out of proportion. You know what I mean? So I don't know, really. I mean, whether we should just. I don't know. I don't even want to say.
I don't know.
It's quite unfortunate. Sometimes
Speechless.
social media is just it takes advantage of all of us.
It does. I agree. It does. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Anthony Wadia. We want to know, we want to analyze, how is the Mukula still leaving Zambia? We just want to talk about that. Stay tuned.
With the children.
We're revving up for a roller coaster ride of fun and feels for everyone on Box Office. There's loads of laughing out loud, bouncing about, and flinging around.
Totally awesome.
In their party.
Well, that's disappointing.
You don't want to miss this rip-roaring ride.
Go faster!
Enjoy these movies and more straight from the cinema to the comfort of your home. When you rent on Box Office by DSTV.
Wamene huyu mambala huyu atakantulisa kwenda. Iwe uka mambala iwe.
Uyamwalila huyu.
Bafenta chabe, bafenta.
Osati afenta chabe. Leta manzi.
Nilipe manzi bululu wanka, ni chabe na batriki wa mojo.
Sipi sevenza ifoni kapa leta manzi. Iwe. Difficult. Wambela kupwa? Kwa saraina.
Na intumbika mojo.
Trade Kings, improving lives.
There is a core belief at the heart of Liquid Telecom. The belief that every individual has the right to be connected. The pursuit of this vision has seen us build the largest independent fiber network in Africa. From Cape to Cairo, we are connecting more of Africa. Liquid Telecom, building Africa's digital future.
Fruits are disappearing everywhere, and reports reaching us indicate that there's a sudden shortage of fruits on the shelves, markets, and on the streets.
Mangoes, pineapples, bananas, guavas, and other fruits have left the shelves here. We don't know what's going on.
Tinasakira mafruits, tinasakira yanaenda mafruits kulibe. Kulichape kandoro. Manya nzakulisha che kandoro.
We refuse to give up on this problem. We are going to find the solution.
We dance till the sunrise. Happiness and love aboard. Here we find paradise. From Cancer to Capricorn, Tropics is the juice you can savor.
All fruits yearn to become tropics. Introducing Tropics Fruit Juice Blend, a paradise of fruity freshness. Trade Kings, improving lives.
Today's topic on tonight's edition of Diamond Live. So just yesterday we were talking about it. The Mukula trade was banned. There was a ban on the export of Mukula in Zambia or to any other part of the world. And this is a decision that was made by the government. But the trend has continued, and a lot of people are questioning how this is possible. And this conversation has started now because of a report that was packaged by the Star newspaper in Malaysia. And we're just going to recap and refresh your mind, because we did highlight this yesterday, but we'd just like to refresh your mind so you know exactly what we're talking about.
9 million ringgit worth of illegal wood was seized at the Tanjung Pelepas port by the Johor Customs Department. Its director, Dato' Muhammad Hamidan Mariani, said the Guibotia wood from Zambia was found in a shipping container and bound for Vietnam. Guibotia wood is a controlled commodity, and any transshipment would require an export permit. No arrests were made, and the case was categorized as a confiscation under Section 52 of the Customs Act. Muhammad Hamidan also told reporters that the Customs Department seized over 43,000 ringgit worth of illicit cigarettes in 3 separate raids around Johor Bahru. 5 foreign men, aged between 20 and 43, were arrested. The Customs Department also seized nearly 1,300 litres of illegal alcohol worth over 25,000 ringgit. 2 local men were arrested to assist with the investigation.
So, the Zambian High Commission of the Republic of Zambia in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, did issue a statement today. And I'm just going to read part of it. The first part basically describes what is in that piece. And then the other part says, contrary to claims in some sections of the media, at no point did the director or the Malaysian Customs Department state that the consignment belonged to a politically exposed person, or indeed provide any details regarding the identity of the exporters, except to indicate that the consignment was from Zambia and detained for Vietnam. The High Commission of Zambia and Malaysia wishes to advise that the matter be followed up by the relevant authorities with their Malaysian counterparts in accordance with the provisions of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, as it relates to specimens deemed to have been exported in violation with the convention. And the mission also went ahead to advise people to stay away from speculation and all of that. But I think that's what we're going to be talking about tonight with Anthony Wadia, who is joining us on tonight's edition of Diamond Live. And what perhaps we should be asking first is whether or not we should even be concerned if the people are politically exposed persons. Welcome to Diamond Live.
Thank you very much indeed, guys. I'm delighted to be here.
So, you know, the High Commission in Kuala Lumpur, the Zambian High Commission in Kuala Lumpur, made a response to this. And the first thing that they say in response to that is these people are not politically exposed persons, and they basically dispute that claim that has been trending on social media. But do you think that the issue should be whether or not these are politically exposed persons, or we should just be concerned that there's corruption happening here? Because this is an endangered wild species, as it were, that we put a ban to exporting.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And look, I think before I address that question, I think it's important for me to make something very, very clear. Corruption should be and form a big part of what the next general election next year should be all about. Because the victims of grand, often politically motivated corruption are ordinary Zambian people. And unfortunately, these are the people who really are on the receiving end of what has been what people would describe as a savage kind of tenure over the past close to 10 years of our colleagues in the PF. And for me, coming from the UPND, I think it's important that we make this very clear. Every time we discuss corruption, especially at the very highest level of government, because grand corruption usually is politically motivated, and it is perpetrated and orchestrated by people at the very highest level of elected public office, and sometimes by some, individuals who occupy some high offices, appoint positions of appointed authority, and sometimes individuals in the private sector who effectively serve as accomplices. Corruption has consequences for ordinary people. Usually it is what makes a difference between there being medicine in our clinics and hospitals or not. There being employment opportunities for young people. There have been education opportunities for the youth across the country, or indeed the government being able to pay salaries for lecturers and nurses and so on and so forth. So we really need to get concerned about that. The statement that has been issued by the Zambian High Commission in Malaysia is half-hearted, because it does not address the key issues around the subject matter that we should be all concerned about. We know that over the period 2012 to 2018, there was a research that was done and published by the Center for International Forestry Research. It must have been published in the month of May of 2018, which effectively suggested that over that period, Zambia had lost close to $500 million worth of unaccounted for Mukula revenue, often in under-declarations. And that is just in relation to China, never mind other countries. And you see that a subsequent investigation that was carried out and issued by the Environmental Investigation Agency not too long ago, it told us that over the same period, we had well in excess of $40 million worth of bribes, just bribes, that had been paid to individuals facilitating the trade. And often those individuals have been cited to be politically exposed individuals. There are very few individual actors, ordinary citizens in this country, who have the capacity and the ability to go out there, cut down Mukula trees in thousands of containers and export it across our borders to countries as far as Vietnam.
Well, that's the case. It still remains an allegation, especially considering nobody has really presented the facts or identified any of these people. So it still remains an allegation.
Of course, it does remain an allegation, but we have to look at the trends and what the standing reports we have at the moment points to. Unless people are prepared and have evidence or reports in the way of a research to suggest that the opposite is true, I think from where we're sitting, it is actually true that much of what we're witnessing in the way of illegal cutting and export of Mukula trees is being perpetrated by political actors at the very highest level of government. And this is why we should be worried, because when criminal activities are perpetrated at that level, it becomes increasingly difficult for anyone to deal with. And this is what our colleagues in the at the Zambia Association of Timber and Forestry based industries have been telling us. Because in the year 2012, everybody remembers that there was a ban in respect of the cutting and exporting of Mukula trees. But they have statistics which tell us that in that year alone, 4,000 containers, probably close to $12 or $13 million worth of Mukula trees, landed onto mainland China in that year when there was a ban in place. And even as recent as 2017, when there was a ban, close to 5,000 containers landed in China alone. Again, that is close to 15, 16, or even $17 million.
So what do you think this says about basically our system? Because we've got a system, and you see, I'm going to base whatever I'm saying based on what the High Commission has said. They are saying this has got to be picked up by relevant authorities both in Zambia as well as in Malaysia. But then, I don't know, because this Mukula is coming from here anyway. It escaped the authorities here, and it was only identified by the authorities in Malaysia. So how is it even possible that something can be done?
And this is problematic, because the same research that I made mention of by the Center for International Forestry Research Organization, in the year 2016 alone, there was a trade disparity and declaration of revenue of close to $87 million between China and Zambia. So the Chinese were saying they had imported close to $90 million, that imported close to $90 million worth of Mukula from Zambia, whereas the Zambian authorities themselves, they were saying they'd only exported near enough $1 million. So we had that disparity in the declaration of revenues arising from that trade between Zambia and China of close to $87 million. So we have not demonstrated at the highest level that we are able to hold ourselves accountable for this highly sensitive trade involving some of our highly prized natural resources. And this is where the worry is. For us, we've always been categorical that, look, a few things need to happen. If we want to get a good grip on this, there has to be an independent investigation into the clandestine activities of criminal cartels who are and have been at the heart of the illegal harvest and export of Mukula trees to other countries at the expense of ordinary Zambians.
So is that in a bid to find out who has been doing this?
Yes, absolutely.
Or it's in a bid to stop it?
No. And look, and we've been very careful in saying an independent investigation, because we know that the authorities whose mandate it is and always has been to ensure that there is order in the manner that Mukula trees and several other highly prized and protected species of trees are harvested and exported, they've not been able to do their job. Zafico and the ZRA, they do not have the capacity to police themselves. They might have it by virtue of the statute that gives birth to them, but they have demonstrated over the years that they do not have that capacity and transparency to be able to fulfill that mandate.
And this is what makes you say that? How do we base it? Is that based on the fact that they don't hold press briefings?
No, it's not saying that probably our policies around our international trade seems to be weak in any way?
No, but look, I'll take you back a few years. We had the issue of fire tenders, right? The issue was never that Zambia did not have enough procurement guidelines to ensure that people did the right thing. But what happened was, because of the level at which the fraud was being perpetrated, it was, to pull off that stunt, which they pulled off with the fire tenders. And this is exactly what we're seeing with the Mukula saga. At the time when the government is telling the Zambian public that there is a ban in place, we have thousands of containers landing in countries very far from here. And the question is, look, at the moment, you only have two people in this country who have the power to sign off on those, special permits, as they call them. And that is the Director of Forestry, who I believe is aligned with Zafico. And then you also have the Minister responsible for lands and natural resources, and that is Honorable Jean Kapata. So then, if you have 4,000 and another 5,000, close to 10,000 worth of, containers, to the tune of over $20 million, leaving this country and landing in countries afar, illegally, then we need to ask
all
of
that,
that.
or the regulation authorities, because these two individuals have they could potentially. What makes this illegal is the fact that they didn't sign. Because if they do sign, then it's not illegal.
Okay, and this is why we mentioned the ZRA, because these are the people who police, our exit ports, our entry and exit ports. If anything is being imported, there's some documentation that shows how much has been imported by whom, right, and from where. When there's something that is being exported, there are ZRN customs officers there, okay, to ascertain what is being exported, by whom, and to where. So somewhere across the line of authority and responsibility, something is not happening. Someone is not doing their job. Look, if the minister does not sign on the export permit, if the director for forestry does not sign on that export permit, we expect that customs authorities attached to ZRA should be able to pick up that. So now, if something has gone out of this country in terms of Mukula trees, we know that either the permits were irregularly issued by the minister or the director for forestry, or the customs authorities at our exit ports did not do their job. So the question is, who is going to own up and take responsibility? And this is why we think the highest office in the land, occupied by His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, need to take responsibility for this. The resources that are being plundered through the illegal harvest and export of Mukula trees do not belong to the government. They do not belong to appointed or elected officials. They belong to Zambians. And these resources must be managed in trust for the benefit of ordinary Zambians. I've just mentioned, look.
I will allow you to finish. Let me just engage Simfukwe, who is calling in from Kafiwe.
Right.
Good evening, Simfukwe. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Proceed with your question or contribution tonight.
All right, sir. I was listening to what our guest for tonight is saying, and I concur with him. And it's very much important that you bring such kind of programs on TV, because most of the times it's us citizens who are paying taxes to ZRA, but at the end of the day, we don't benefit much from what is going out of this country. And I don't think so if ZRA is doing its job as a taxing authority. So I'm sure he's saying the truth.
Thank you for giving us your thoughts.
All right, thank you, sir.
So, just as I would like us to conclude, but then I want us to look. We've identified what the problem is, and you've stated what the problem is from as far back as 2012.
Yeah.
But with the latest incident, because there is a clear ban, and this was a huge debate last year. This was a huge subject, the Mukula subject. Yeah. But then, just at the start of 2020, we get this from Malaysia.
Look, and the reason the bans have never been effective is because, like we've just been saying here, is the level at which this fraud involving our national resources is being perpetrated. It is being perpetrated at the very highest level of government. And this is why we want to go on the record once again to call for an independent investigation, completely divorced from government agencies that are connected with the FICO and the ZRA, because these are the people thus far who have demonstrated that they have not been able to do their job. So an investigation to nip into the bud the source of the problem and who is involved. That's number one. But number two, whilst we understand the cry by small-scale to medium-sized timber traders involved in the trade of Mukula, and whose permits were irregularly, cancelled and items confiscated and then sold, and then they lost, capital and everything else, we think that it is important to maintain a ban on this, a total ban, to an extent that not even the minister or the director of forestry should have the authority in the interim to issue or sign off on any permits until we have sensibly determined that we have dealt with the illegal cartels who are at the heart.
Don't you think that the fact that there's a ban, their signature is kind of redundant because there's a ban?
No. But they still enjoy the latitude to issue those special permits, to whomsoever they choose to. For people to harvest and export mukula. They still enjoy that latitude. And that has been the cry by small-scale to medium-sized timber traders to say, look, you have instituted a ban, but at the same time, you are irregularly issuing permits to individuals to harvest and export mukula to other countries. And this has been the cry. But the other thing is, it's important that there is enhanced transparency in the way, transparency and accountability in the way that trees are harvested and exported. For example, in the mining industry, we do not rely entirely on the reports that the mines issue in the way of how much they're mining, whether it's gold or copper or cobalt, and exporting. We have independent EITI reports that that are carried out and issued. I think it has to be. We have to consider seriously doing the same for prized natural resources such as mukula trees. We have to have a system of being able to independently monitor how many trees are being cut, where and by whom, and where they're being exported, and how much revenue is being realized from here. Because like I've said, at the heart and center of all of these scandals and the amount of money that are being lost, it is ordinary Zambian people who are paying a heavy price because we can't pay lecturer salaries, we can't pay teachers, we can't pay nurses, we can't discharge pension benefits, we can't put medicines and equipment in our clinics. So it is that serious. But I think before I finish, let me make this point.
I will allow you to finish. Let me get Mpalasha from Kitwe. Good evening.
Hello?
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Evening, hours, sir.
Very well, thank you. Give us your contribution.
I just want to contribute about the Mukula program. The people that they were given access of the same Mukula program, it's a government. Because ordinary person is not possible for him or she to have access of Mukula trees. So that's why we found that all the blames they are on government. So government they are the ones that they are benefiting Mukula trees.
All right, thank you, Mpalasha. You were about to give your final
maybe
point.
Just to add on to what the caller just said, do you think also maybe that the embassy did rush into saying that, no PEPs were involved in this? Because Malaysia has said that, investigations, they'll investigate, but these things have been confiscated and no names have been mentioned or anything like that. So do you think maybe the embassy as well did rush into it? Because now everybody is saying there's no way you can move that much weight and not have politically exposed persons involved.
Of course. And look, you have to understand the dilemma that embassy staff are in. These are appointees of the president in this country. So the power that be in this country are the ones that keep them there and pay them. So they have a duty to have their back. But it's important for us to remind them that essentially they are there not to serve the powers that be, but to serve the people of this country. If the people of this country decide that there should be a change of government next year, everybody who has failed to do their jobs will be called back. Because everything that we're doing, it has to be for the benefit of the people of this country. And for me, the reason I am concerned about corruption at that level,
in conclusion,
which is depriving this country of several billions of dollars, is that I am running for public office in my home constituency. And I know how difficult it has been for government to discharge, for example, local government equalization funds to Ndola City Council. So because Ndola City Council does not receive that money, they can't execute the most basic of services across the boundaries of Ndola, including my home constituency of Kabushi. I know how difficult it has been for government to discharge, CDF to Kabushi constituency. And it is the people who are paying the price in my constituency. Would you believe if I told you that one of my home clinics doesn't have a thermometer? Do you know how much a thermometer costs? 29 kwacha. And yet, they want us to remain silent when we know that close to $1.5 billion worth of Mukula revenue has not been accounted for in the period 2012 and 2018. I think it's important that we all get involved in this conversation and demand for the utmost accountability and transparency in the manner that this issue is handled, because this is not about the politicians. This is about ordinary people who are paying the heaviest of premiums because we cannot do the right thing around our natural resources.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the president is going to be addressing Parliament tomorrow, and this is in relation to the national values and principles. And we want to get your word. What do you think what issues do you think he should address tomorrow? And let's just pick your brain on it. And we're going to be joined by Jackson Silavwe, who is president of the Golden Party, to talk about that.
Afternoon, Anne.
Afternoon.
I'm gonna tell you why my clothes look bright. I'm gonna tell you why my clothes look clean. I'm gonna tell you why they smell so nice. I'm feeling fresh, you know what I mean. It's got a little bit of oxy bleach with a nice perfume that will leave your clothes looking rich and have you feeling good. Ooh, aloha. Aloha. You need to try Aloha.
Aloha washing powder. Say hello to fresh.
Trade Kings, improving lives.
Everybody listen up! You know how they say laughter's the best medicine? Well, it's also timeless. Like these grown-ups taking a trip down memory lane. Maybe not so grown-up. I've also heard people saying that life is a comedy to those who think like a man. See what I did there? Stay connected for more hilarious moments all the way from Swamp World. Aren't they the cutest? We're here to keep you laughing your act pulls off. Go TV. Live it, love it.
Woi, lero tikumbula tiboni zona. Woi, nisha ukanka mais. Nuna njala ngala pa haiti. Mongali kata tizeo. Ndaulo samba kumanja kulibe. Hygienic Police.
Contravening Cap 7 of hygiene laws. Mkudiasa samba kumanja. Je hygiene ya branch. Bad hygiene malpractice.
Apa nomba diarrhea. Yala mixta assault pamala.
Sinzati ma James yamanje sio kwala la monga ya kudala. That's why mfunko sambila na hygienic soap. Mabera you. Officer Pompi.
Go please, madam.
Go and hygienics and kurukuta them right now. Hygienic soap is a powerful antibacterial soap with active silver technology formulated to kill 99.9% of germs.
Hygienic soap. You are safe in our hands.
Top Star. Enjoy digital life. Continue to feel the moments of winning with the Europa League. It's the first leg of the round of 16. Will Lukaku maintain his impressive scoring for Milan? Or will Rashford rise to the occasion for Manchester United? Then stay tuned to Top Star for the answer. Watch Manchester United as they play away to LASK on Thursday, 12th March at 19:55, live and exclusive to World Football on Top Star. Wind up your Europa week on the same day and catch the in-form Inter Milan as they host Getafe FC at 22 hours, also live and exclusive on World Football. Subscribe now and watch football legends in action. Subscribe now and witness the battle of the greatest teams. Top Star. Enjoy digital life.
Welcome back to Diamond Live. Thank you for staying right where you are, and we want you to be a part of the conversation. That's by you sending an SMS to the number that is on your TV screen, or just pick up your phone and call us live, and we'll be hearing your voice as you give your contribution on the issues we're talking about. Joining us now is President of the Golden Party, Jackson Silavwe. What do we expect the President to say tomorrow as he addresses Parliament and the nation at large on national values, principles, and morals? So let's hear what the politicians expect him to say. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Great to see you. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, it has. It has been quite a while.
Yes.
To start it off, we just want to get an understanding from you what you expect the President to talk about tomorrow.
All right. In the amended constitution that we have, or that we gave ourselves in the year 2016, it does spell out in Article 8 and 9, it does spell out what is called national values. And this should not be mistaken to the official opening of Parliament, because that has already been done. And in Article 8, Part 2 of our Constitution, it actually spells out those values that we have given ourselves as a nation. I believe that the framers of the Constitution thought that this country needed a national identity, something that we believe in, something that brings us together. At the top of the list of those national values, you have what you call morality and ethics. And if you look down there in Article 8, let me just quote it properly. In Article 8, in Article 9.2, 9.1 actually, it stipulates that these principles, these values, must be in line when you are interpreting the Constitution, and also how the executive or the three arms of government functions. So these are very important. So that's why you see some people, when we are not paying retirees, they're saying, but what are you doing? Because it's part of our national values to treat human beings with dignity. It's one of the values. You have another one, maybe just to go through them for the sake of our viewers who may not know. You've got patriotism and national unity. You've got democracy and constitutionalism. You've got human dignity, equity, social justice, equality, and non-discrimination, and good governance and integrity, and lastly, sustainable development. In 9.2 of the Constitution, Part 2, it actually spells out that every year the President will go and give a report to the Zambian people through the People's Assembly in addressing these issues. What strides have we made as a country to attain these national values, and also to spell out what government is going to do in terms of these national values. Now, as a stakeholder in the governance process, number one, I'm expecting the President to inspire the nation. In Zambia, you'll agree with me, colleagues, that we have got a trend in this country where we bring out the worst from our people. Politicians generally, we seem to be bringing out the worst from our people. In terms of speech, in terms of conduct, in terms of the way we conduct our governance affairs, we seem to be bringing out the worst.
Isn't one of the qualifications to be a Zambian politician being vulgar?
No, not exactly. So I'm expecting the President, when he goes to Parliament, to go and inspire his fellow countrymen and women to bring out the best from each one of us, so that we can feel that we belong to this country, so that we can feel that we are part and parcel of this country, and indeed we are also benefiting from the cake.
But should you say about inspirational messages?
Yeah,
secondly,
I'd also
yes.
like to know, I'd just like to know, I mean, in this time where everything is so hard for the people, it almost seems like the people are wilding out because they are hungry. They've got no money. Everything just
Hunger breeds anger.
You know, hunger breeds hunger breeds anger. So, is this really the time where we should be listening to words of being lectured and listening to words of guys? We need to work together and everything.
It's not really about lecturing. Leaders in any democratic dispensation have got a role to play in as far as how they chart the course of the country. If we talk of the famous speeches, I have a dream, it's because one leader spoke and has inspired his fellow countrymen and women to go beyond the pettiness of of that time to rise above the challenges that they were facing. If you look at the Gettysburg speech by Abraham Lincoln, it was also the same. So when you go to address the nation in this aspect, we expect the president first to bring out the best out of his people. Secondly, I'm expecting the president to deal with the issues that have threatened our national unity. Number one, top of the list, the gassings and also the mob justice or the mob killings. These things have really defied who we are as a people.
I thought you were going to talk about tribalism.
I'm coming to that as well. Perhaps these things have been there and then they've just come out. What is it that the president is going to tell us how we're going to handle ourselves as a nation? How are we going to respond? What are the mechanisms that government has put in place so that their people, the people of Zambia, can feel safe that we have got the leadership in place? So I'm expecting the president to come out, and I think you, the media, and your colleagues in the media, your ears were wide open, wanting to hear from him.
But
I think a platform has been created.
But you think whatever you have to say now in terms of the gassing, I mean, now the situation has calmed down a little bit. I know, but, you know, do you think it will still hold value for the people? Because when they wanted him to speak about it, he wasn't there.
The very fact that the situation has come down is more reason for him to address the nation. Because we feel as a people that the people that we feel, or the people that are behind these things, perhaps they have not been properly, investigated or brought to book. So this is the right time for the president to give a report to the nation. This is what we have done. This is also what we are intending to do. Apart from that, thirdly, I'm expecting the president to come out strongly against tribalism. We have seen speeches from senior members of cabinet from the ruling party swinging in terms of tribalism. We have seen also.
I'd like us also to get a third party voice. Kosam, who is from Chingola, one of the places that was like the heart of the gassing.
Yes.
Good evening, Kosam. How are you?
Exactly.
Hello.
Hi, Kosam. How are you?
Hi, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. How's Chingola? Are you safe now?
I just want to make a contribution on the program.
Give your word.
Yes. Big fans.
Also to talk about the issues of corruption, because those erode our governance system, and also it makes the nation to be polarized, where people begin to feel that the leaders that have elected are not passing on the resources to them, and they're the ones who are benefiting. And that creates contention in the nation, a point of conflict. Perhaps some of the conflicts that we are seeing in the nation can be traced to that. So I expect the president to come out very strongly on corruption. Okay, I think it's worrying that we have seen last year and part of this year where we have got senior members of cabinet. These are people that are at the heart of the governance system of our country being investigated by SEC. That is a headache for the president. The president needs to come out clear. What is his stance? His predecessor, may he so rest in peace, said zero tolerance to corruption. He went against the big fish to make sure that they were brought to justice. So we want the president to set a tone, because when the president sets a tone, all and sundry begins to follow that tone. Apart from that, we expect the president also to deal with the issues of political intolerance. I think just in Chilubi, we saw the height of political intolerance, where you even have state institutions seemingly looking as though they are siding with a particular political party. That should not be. So the president needs to calm down the situation.
Do you really think that the president will talk about those issues, though? Like, I know you expect it, but do you, given precedence, he's been doing it since 2016.
Yes.
He was elected in 2015. He's been doing it since 2016. Based on precedence, do you really think that he's going to address these issues without bias?
These are matters that weigh heavily upon our hearts as Zambian people. These are things we want our leader to say, so that we can calm down, so that we can come together as a people and drive the national agenda of this country. So really, if the president is listening, these are things that he needs. It's not too late. He's got a few hours towards.
I agree.
He makes a presidential speech, so he can make some alterations.
I know that it actually.
Otherwise, I mean, speeches go missing. I think you heard about the famous speech which went missing during President Thatcher's.
What just came to mind,
yes.
Mrs. Love. I mean, from last year, I mean, of course, we do know he has been addressing, Parliament. But do you think there's been an improvement to the application of morals and values, just generally to the entire citizen?
What about corruption, especially on the corruption? I mean, we've heard the president address corruption so many times.
Is that important?
We've seen him take certain actions, but
one major take home
Yeah.
is that people are aware now that these values do exist. And they're benchmarking the performance of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary against these. I think I've heard a lot of people say, you can't do this because our values are this. You can't say that. Even as politicians, we're being held accountable by the people. You can't say that because this is not patriotic.
But it's in the last 1 year that the people are aware that we've seen the people rising up against each other through tribalism. It's the people have been gassing one another. The people have been the most hungry in the past couple of months. So I mean, does it reflect? Does it really reflect the projection and ultimately the intention of whatever this is?
If sometimes, being a politician, sometimes we're very quick to push ourselves that we're there. I want to become president. I want to become this. And sometimes, one of the things that I do practice is to take myself out of the equation and look at things as a Zambian. And one thing that I can tell you in responding to a sentiment is that Zambians need a superhero. They need a champion. They need somebody who is going to inspire them. The president has got that opportunity to do that in tomorrow's speech. The president has got an opportunity to set a tone, and the Zambian people are going to come around him. I think his speech should not be about finger pointing. It's about how he's going to bring national unity, how he's going to bring different political leaders to talk to one another. Already there was a statement when the new press aide came in that let us bring down the political temperature. Let's come together as political leaders and talk to one another. When we say, okay, let us promote national unity, what steps are we taking? The governance institutions, the police, are they making sure that these crimes that have come, that have eroded quality of life, are arrested to make sure that people feel safe, they feel that they've got the leadership in place? We've got issues of political violence. Those border on national unity. The president needs to come and address those issues. Listen, the people of Zambia have given enough instruments to the president to end violence in whatever capacity. He's the only man at the stroke of a pen or a phone call who can make an end to any violence in this country. And yet, we are worried as we are heading towards the 2021 general elections. How is it going to be? We've seen people losing their lives.
It's good
just for the sake of an election.
It's good that you mentioned that.
It should not be. It should not be that way.
As we head towards the end of our discussion, I want to also bring this responsibility to you as the opposition, because you have said the president has got all this responsibility. We need a superhero, is what you say.
Yeah, exactly.
The people need a superhero.
We need a champion.
They need a champion. Opposition are also, I think, a very important part of this, because while the president is a president for every citizen, there's some people that don't support him. There's some people that are not exactly, he's not their favorite. And yet the opposition on a number of occasions neglect the people that support them. And don't you think also, if the opposition were to show up at Parliament tomorrow, listening to the president at Parliament, don't you think this would also be a symbol that there's something shaping up that looks like there's a country?
Unity.
Exactly.
I want to say this, and I want to say this very clear, with a very clear mind and thought, is that us as the opposition in this country, we have failed the Zambian people, in that we have failed to raise the bar of politics, so that we can be very clear to the Zambian people. We can show the Zambian people that we are a government in waiting. We seem to be, swimming in the mud. And then when we are swimming, you feel as if you are swimming very fast. But when the people are looking at you from the outside, you just actually made a very small step. And that's what is happening to the Zambian opposition. I feel that we need to raise the bar. As long as the Zambian people do not see the difference between what we are condemning as the opposition and what we can offer, they will continue they will continue. Instead of bitterness, let us preach it. Instead of talking about real issues that are affecting them, we are talking of other things that do not even matter to them, that do not put bread and butter on their table. As long as we keep on failing the Zambian people, I always say this, we are practicing politics in the opposition that we look to ourselves. Everything is all about us, if you've noticed. It's what I feel about a certain law. We have reached an extent where we even personalize a law. Because you don't see yourself in there in 2021, you won't support it. You don't think that this law can be good in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, in the next 20 years. So as long as the focus is on us and not to the people, the Zambian people will not give us a chance to lead them. So I believe the clarion call to us, the opposition political parties, UPND, ADD, PEP, EEP, ZDDM, GOP, all the political parties that you can mention, is to begin to raise the bar. When we do that, the Zambian people are going to welcome us. They will take us seriously.
All right, are you going to Parliament tomorrow?
No, because I've got a number of engagements that I'll be attending to. But whilst I'm doing one or two things, bread and butter issues, I will not lie. Yeah. But whilst I'm doing that, I'll follow the proceedings.
All right. But just before it goes,
yes.
in a percentage, you didn't seem to answer my question. Yes. Do you think that there's been an improvement from last year? Just rate the percentage, probably out of 100.
Zambia is experiencing what I call political polarization. And in terms of national values, I must admit that we haven't done enough. In terms of percentage, I would give it... We're still killing one another. Something that we never knew was in us. We've brought it out. And this speaks to a country that is hurting, that is bleeding, that does not have an identity. We need to go back to the basics and inspire 2011, when that man became president in the name of Michael Sata. We need that feeling that we Zambians, we are the owners of this country. And as long as the Zambian people do not feel that way, the values will just be a mere song.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Salavwe. We look forward to what the president will say tomorrow.
Same. Thank you.
We'll take a break. Coming up next, we are talking abortion and whether women must go ahead and do it at their own will. Dr. Teddy Mlenga is here to talk about that.
Give my life to keep you safe and bright. With all my love, I'll lead your boat to shore. It's time to grow.
Breakfast. You can never go wrong with Tasty High Juicy. Treat your child to the lovely benefits of Tasty High Juicy. Tasty comes in different flavors. Manufactured by Revin Zambia Limited. For details, contact Revin Zambia Limited on +260 972 211 113. Email us on info@revinzambia.com or visit www.revinsarl.com.
Welcome back to Diamond Live. Thank you that you're still there, and we're going to be reading the messages that you've been sending through tonight on the show. But we're also encouraging you to keep calling us on Diamond Live tonight by using the number that you're seeing on your TV screen. Abortion is a very sensitive subject in Zambia. And that's because Zambia is a very Christian country. A lot of people have got these Christian beliefs that they have. And according to that, most of them have found themselves being against the idea of abortion. But this is mainly when people are debating it. And we never really interrogate what happens in these hospitals, how many women go out there. What is it that they should, that warrants them to get these abortions? And so that's why we're joined by Dr. Teddy Mlenga, who is here tonight on Diamond Live. Welcome.
Thank you very much, guys. Chinchua,
it's good to see
Malama,
you.
Jonah.
No better person to talk about abortion.
It's
than
good
you.
to be here at the most happening program. In
Great. You
feels
heard that.
good.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. It feels good to have you also.
Oh man, it really does. This is a subject that today on social media, especially Twitter, just blew out. Everybody was talking about this and wanted to know, what is or the stance, especially when it comes to the medical grounds. But we need to understand also, just from the doctor's perspective, the guidance when it comes to conducting abortions in Zambia. What guidance is there?
Okay. Very complicated question from Malama as usual. Now, let's start like this. Let's first understand what is abortion, so that we move on the same,
okay, let's do
wavelength.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, abortion, and I'm here. I think there'll be a bit of a surprise here because I know how the society takes abortion to be. So, what I'm going to give is the standard, acceptable understanding. Abortion is the termination or loss of a fetus or baby before viability stage. Now, viability stage means before the baby is big enough to survive outside the womb. Now, for Zambian circumstances, we take 24 weeks, which is 6 months. Right. That's the cutoff. So, if you lose a baby from whatever reason, this is where our people miss it. Because I know I'm talking about this because one day I was almost beaten by a Christian lady. Said, Doctor, you wrote abortion here. I never had abortion. I had miscarriage. I'm going to sue you. So, no, we write abortion. Abortion simply means loss. It does not mean you caused the loss. You may have, but it doesn't mean that. It can be either induced or spontaneous. That means it can be caused, or it can cause itself without you doing anything.
Yeah.
That's abortion.
Okay.
That's
Interesting.
Yeah,
abortion.
that's an interesting
So next time you come to the hospital or your relative comes to the hospital, people out there, and we write abortion, we only mean that you have lost the baby before 6 months.
6 months.
We are not saying you did something.
Okay. But I think what a lot of people are concerned about most of the time is the induced abortion. That's what starts the debate mainly, because I mean you can't blame someone that has lost a baby spontaneously.
But it's an abortion.
It is, yeah. But I think what a lot of people usually have a problem with is the induced one. So, what guidance do doctors have in Zambia now?
Okay, fine. You see, 1972. First of all, it was haphazard in Zambia. It was totally illegal. In 1972, a law was passed which started guiding us on how to approach abortions in Zambia. So they passed a law, our government, Kaunda was at 8 years. Yeah, they passed a law that we are legalizing abortion. Of course, we have got different ideas whether it's really legal or illegal. I'll come to that later. But the perspective was that they were legalizing abortion. But there was a but under such conditions. If the pregnancy will endanger the health of a woman, that if this pregnancy continues, the woman might die or become incapacitated. That's one. Two, it may affect her mental health. All right? Three, she might have a baby who will be extremely incapacitated, extremely disabled, like a cabbage, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are ways to tell whether this baby will come out alive, ultrasounds and all that. So, 4, the socio-economic circumstances do not allow her to continue with the pregnancy. Don't ask me which ones. That's why I'm saying
that sounds like abortion is basically legal.
Yeah.
Let me come to that. This is what was passed, right? And everybody you related, oh blah blah blah, things are good.
Then they said
carrying out that decision, I mean abortion decision for our women to get an abortion from 1972 was hard. Imagine you are in, I didn't mention, the other implication was there should be 3 doctors, right? 2 doctors, general doctors. 1 is specialist. If your problem is a heart problem, and we think it will become very, very bad, if the pregnancy continues, you need to have a cardiologist, all right, to sign with the other 2 doctors. Now, if we think your problem will be mental, you are becoming psychotic, confused, we need a psychiatrist to sign. Okay? So if we think it will be socio-economic, we need a doctor with some experience in sociology and all these kind of things. Now, imagine you are in Dudumwezi, right? You need an abortion. Where are you going to get a gynecologist? Where are you going to get a psychiatrist? For your problem, maybe you have a heart problem and you want an abortion. 3 doctors. Where are you going to get them? Do you know that in Zambia, the number of doctors the ratio is about 1.3, they're about to 10,000 people across the country. Nurses is 17 to 10,000, right? That's what we have. Midwives, 2 per 10,000. So now, if you are in Impika or Kaputa, where are you going to get this kind of people to support you when you want an abortion? So that's why when you say it was legalized, some of us, we think abortion in Zambia is illegal, but it is legal. Illegal in the sense that, yes, somebody says you can do it, but the conditions. For example, somebody says socio-economic. The woman to convince us, I was in Guyana for many years, for you to convince me that your socio-economic circumstances permit you, no, because I've got 3 children, I've got 4 children, I can't manage the 5th. We used to chase you. We just chase you out.
Yeah.
Why were you not preventing? Meanwhile, the law says socio-economic circumstances. Interpretation, 0. Wow.
That's
Confused.
pretty heavy. Yeah, and then now what happens?
And then
to
in
those?
2005, before I answer that one, then there was an update. They added rape. In fact, they had forgotten about rape. They added then defilement. Then they added incest, relationship between the families and all that. So that at least there it's straightforward.
All right, we've got somebody on the phone. Good evening. Hello, good evening. Mwangala Gift, good evening.
Yes, I'm on the line.
How are you? How are you, Gift?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Can you reduce the volume on your TV set? That would be better.
Okay, I'm reducing the volume, yes.
Yes. Can you give us your contribution?
Yes, sir. I want to talk on the first issue about the coronavirus in Zambia.
Very briefly.
Coronavirus. Ubulwele wanatushupa.
Tabudi mu Zambia.
Because abantu bale chitakwati bale chita politicize pali ubulwele.
But tamuli mu Zambia. Tamuli mu Zambia.
Kama je?
Muno mu Zambia, but tamuli coronavirus yet.
Yes, tamuli coronavirus, but you know the problem with
Hello?
Yes, now the problem with our government is too secretive because we don't know whether the coronavirus is in Zambia or it is not there. Remember what happened in the case of Gasing in Chingola when it started. The same government used to deny They were saying that, no, it is just the phobia that people are having in the nation. There is no corona, there is no gassing and gassing. So even for these things, we have stopped trusting our government because they are too secretive. They are failing to tell the public the truth about coronavirus. And what the minister was saying, that they have received the donor, the fund. Look, Zambia is too big. We've got people are living in rural areas and we are still importing things like phones, clothes that is coming from China. Those things, are they scanned or they are not scanned for coronavirus? And those things, when they reach here in Zambia, they go to various parties in the nation. Others, they go to rural areas like Lumbe, in Western Province, Enanga, Lumbe, Mwanamwale, Shangombo, Njembela, things like that, where people, they've got, they cannot easily afford to buy expensive things that can protect them from the coronavirus. Things like washing washing paste, these are the soap and the other things. So what I suggest for the government about the coronavirus, what I would like the government to do for us, let them just ban the products of Chinese to come in Zambia, because these things, they may come from anything, and a clothes, a phone, anything, or a shoe. So what I'm suggesting for the government is to really ban these things from China, from entering our nation, Zambia.
All right.
Big countries can ban. They are scared of it. America is scared of it. What of us, Zambian? Who are we? The poor nation like this.
All right,
who are we?
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for your contribution.
Thank you so much,
Very
sir.
passionate
Thank
about
you.
it. Just to also make it very clear that there's no coronavirus in Zambia, according to update by government. It's also not okay for us to speculate in that manner, especially if an official position has been given. But very valid points that you've given out there. But let's resume on abortion.
Yeah, let's resume on abortion. Now, for those that are living in such areas, let's say like Dudumezi, where they can't access 3 doctors, do they still have to be turned away? Because, look, at the end of the day, if they do fall in line with one of the conditions, what happens?
Yeah, what has happened now? There's been a bit of relaxation of the 3-doctor rule.
Okay.
So what is said now is that in the absence of the other 2, 1 doctor can take up. In the absence, only in the absence. But if they are there, you have to have the 3. So in the absence of the other 2, 1 doctor. But even 1 doctor, Malama, where are you going to get? In Kaputa. So even 1 doctor is way too much for that. We have clinical officers, we have nurses.
Yeah.
Abortions, medical abortions are very simple to carry out. It takes 3 minutes, 5 minutes. A nurse trained for 1 week or 3 days can do that. Clinical officer can do that. So it's
that easy.
Yeah, it's very easy.
But I mean, from your experience, Doc,
to do an abortion.
Oh, it's very easy.
Okay.
Wow.
Medical abortion.
Yeah.
With knowledge.
Yeah.
Very easy.
But from your experience, do you think that this is, I mean, from all the laws that you've cited from back in the days, do you think abortion now is, a lot of people, do you think they're taking it very serious as they used to back then in time? Do you think that abortion right now has become like an it thing? Are people doing it much more than it used to happen, depending on different circumstances that they face?
Now, let me tell you just one true story. I'm in Ndola, young doctor, about 89 or 1989 or so, just fresh, 1 year after graduating. So I'm in Gain. A girl comes in, 16 years old, abdomen distended, big, that is. She's feverish, temperature 39, and we put a needle in the abdomen, we take pus. We examine down there, we find the cervical os is open, meaning there's an incomplete abortion. That means something has happened to her, but she has developed an infection. So I go to theater with my friend, the late Dr. Matalisu. We open her, trying to wash the pus. What do we find? We find a twig. Inside, a twig from a plant. It has perforated the womb in several places. The womb is rotten, hence the pus we had been seeing from outside when we put a a needle in her.
Yeah.
The uterus is rotten. So we look carefully, the intestines are also torn. Okay? The feces are even seeping out. That's why it was so big. So there's pus, there's feces, there's everything, mixture. So quick decision, we have to take out the uterus. During the process, she died 3 times. Fortunately, we hadn't passed, before the operation, we hadn't passed. We hadn't passed through. Listen, we hadn't passed through the doctor's club.
Yes.
Because, Zambia is amazing. It's the only country where you find a beer hall or a bar in a hospital. We hadn't passed there that day. That's why we noticed that the heart was not working.
Yeah.
3 times she died. And the 3 times we revived her. So we took out the uterus, literally throwing it away into the dustbin. And we were not good in surgery, that we were too young. So we called a surgeon from Ghana within the same hospital. He came and removed 3 meters. And the poop area was brought outside.
Yeah.
16-year-old. Reason, criminal abortion with those twigs. Because she had been denied. There was law already. But because of the conditions I was saying, she couldn't access. So she was denied abortion. What did she do? Go to Chipulukusu somewhere there. The woman did her thing there. Of course, once you prick, I'm not telling people how to do it, but the uterus doesn't like tampering. Once you prick far enough, it will reject whatever is inside. But then the infection from the twig. So the laws were there, but implementation is what is a problem.
And it still stands that way. You still need 3
It
medical
is the
doctors.
same. Let me tell you something. In Zambia, we have about 400 women dying out of 100,000, right, from pregnancy-related causes. 30% of those is caused by abortion. Induced illegal criminal abortion. 30%. And I've seen young girls dying like flies. That's why when I sit here, the only country I look forward to is South Africa, where you walk in, the woman has control, total control of her destiny. You walk in, I don't want this baby. You come out.
Do you think that is what we should change the law to be? Allow women to go ahead and
a woman must be in control of her destiny,
and
of her body.
Values?
Because don't you think that's the
Zambia is a Christian nation?
Because that is the only
that's
thing.
the only thing that stops this? Because is there any medical
guys,
reason why it
if
shouldn't
you
be done?
see the number of women dying out of abortion, you are not going to start preaching to me about Christian values or anything. You see a life, 14, 15-year-old, 20-year-old dying out of trying to sort herself out. You are not going to tell me about Christian values. You are going to tell me how we should save more lives. And the only way to save lives is to legalize. And legalize, I don't mean the 1972, the South African way. 1994,
To allow
Mandela came up.
Abortions.
Thanks to Mandela, he was a visionary leader. Came up, banned capital punishment, introduced free abortion.
Yeah.
Legalized. Pure. No manga explanations. No, you need this, you need in the case of this. When you legalize something, you don't have to put conditions. It's as good as illegal. You understand?
Do you see Zambia getting to that level, like South Africa, where, there's a lot of technological advancements now.
I see Zambia becoming, I see, Cheso. I see Zambia becoming that, perhaps when I become president.
Wow, all the best with that. But then, do you think also maybe illustrating just look? I think you also have the responsibility to change the narrative by illustrating how many of these people are dying. Like just
statistics,
amplify the voice. Just to highlight that there's a lot of people dying from this, because just the fact that people cannot do it in the hospital doesn't mean that they don't do it.
No, they do it. And they do it in mass. Let me tell you something. Not UTH. I never worked in UTH. Ndola. It's a smaller hospital, right? 700 bedded. In the morning, every day, Sunday included, criminal abortions. I used to clean about 25 young women.
Every day?
Criminal abortions. Because, If you find a young lady of 18, 16, 19 bleeding, surely somebody has done something. A young woman they never lose pregnancies just spontaneously. Never. They are healthy. The uterus is healthy. It has no issues, no fibroids, no what. No hormonal disturbances. They haven't taken a lot of drugs. So if you see a girl bleeding, already we know it's a criminal abortion. And you have to take it out clean. It's an incomplete abortion. Clean, everything. 25 a day, multiply that by 7 days.
But I'm curious,
30
Doc,
days.
also. I mean, what is the ratio?
And then, of course, some are dying.
Yeah, I mean, what is the ratio of those making criminal abortions at home and those seeking for safer abortions in a hospital?
You know, the ladies actually, they start by seeking ways to help them. But the law, the Zambian law is, I told you, is restrictive because of it has left so much to guesswork. And so much to doctors. I mean, if I'm Christian valued doctor, right? You come, hey, I've got 6 children. I don't want this pregnancy. What do? Get out. You understand? But if she found me, because I'm so passionate about not losing any more lives, I would agree. And co-opt other 2 doctors. Please, let's help.
Yeah.
So you see, it is open to misinterpretations, misjudgment, personal values being, judgmentalism by different attitudes of caregivers. And that's not the way you operate with a law. You leave it so open to misuse. You understand?
There's a lot of women also that like
Finally.
to go already. There's a lot of women that like to go to these Oriental doctors, the Chinese doctors. I don't know if you've been, to some of their institutions, but I hear some of them admission pills that you're supposed to take. Is that okay? Is that safe? Because looking at how...
I understand your question. The taking of pills, that's what we call medical abortion. There is another way we call surgical abortion where you will use like a suction pump. We have them in Zambia. Just put a suction. We are no longer cleaning with instrument. Just put a suction, suck everything in 3 minutes. You are over. It's done. But if before 9 weeks pregnancy, 2 months and 1 week, not too big, you can go the way you are talking. There are drugs. They are there in pharmacies. They are there in hospital where we give you.
But these obviously are prescription drugs.
Yeah, it's a prescription drug, yes. We give you and you start bleeding. And then we examine it to see whether it is finished or not finished. If it's not finished, we use the surgical to finish the clots and everything else. So no, it's safe. Anything done by a doctor is safe. it's quite
to some
safe.
extent.
But to some extent.
To some extent. But thank you so much for coming through, Dr. Mlenga.
Thank you so much.
Very clear that it's just one of those things that we don't want to admit that is happening.
But it is happening.
The faster we realize we are losing unnecessarily large number of ladies, girls in fact, the better the country will be.
So you are pro-choice and
I'm pro-South African approach.
So which is the pro-choice?
Allow the ladies to determine their destiny. Finished. No manga laws, this. No.
Okay.
Straightforward.
Right.
Straightforward.
Great. We're going to read out some of your messages, some of the messages that you've been sending through after this break.
Eagle Events Management, in collaboration with NGOCC and Trade Kings Group, presents the International Women's Day Conference and Luncheon at the Mulungushi International Conference Center, dubbed Equal, with the theme Transforming a Generation of Women for Equality. Speakers will include Bridget Kambobe, Trade Kings; Maureen Treasure, Women in Law, Southern Africa; Charit Muntali, Eagle Events; Christabel Michelle Banda, Zisk Life; UD Soko, Zambian Cancer Society; Wanga Zulu, Actress in Pali; Maria Zalomius Mwelwa, Zaid Farmer. Date 14th of March 2020. Time 08 hours. Charges 500 kwacha only. Students and Makwebo women 250 kwacha. For bookings call 0966 756 555, 0977 614 130. Email event@zamnet.zam. Don't miss out.
Powered by Trade Kings, improving lives.
There is a core belief at the heart of Liquid Telecom. The belief that every individual has the right to be connected. The pursuit of this vision has seen us build the largest independent fiber network in Africa. From Cape to Cairo, we are connecting more of Africa. Liquid Telecom, building Africa's digital future.
Welcome back to Diamond Live. As we conclude the show tonight, let's take a look at what you've been saying, some of the messages you've been sending through, and just pick your brains on what's been going on.
All right, so the first message says, good evening, lady and the gentlemen. Ever since you started talking about this coronavirus, you have just been talking about effects. Now, are there some methods of preventing it?
I know. I literally did a video.
You did a video. Wash your hands. Use sanitizer. Avoid. Come on.
We're gonna play the video as we end the show. We're gonna play the video as we end the show. Charles,
do we have coronavirus? No, we do not have coronavirus.
And the minister was
Zambia.
daydreaming when he said Zambia is ready to fight coronavirus. Further saying Zambia will not close borders for Chinese. Well, did he really say that?
He did, yes. He did. In the full address, there was a question that was in relation to that, and the minister did indicate that we were not going to close borders to anyone,
but increase surveillance.
Yes, rather. Prevent the disease from affecting the republic and its citizens. Sichilongo Daniel. If Zambia is prepared, what about our neighbors? Are they also prepared? Because they will also be affected from Limu. That's a very valid point, though, because you cannot be prepared in isolation.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are enjoying the show. Thank you. But you should consider inviting Dr. Xavier Chimba from Elstone.
Because you know that you're watching me from Livingston. We'll invite him when we have something to talk about with him.
Ooh. Okay.
Zambian has become a corrupt nation. The Mukula saga, 52 houses, fire tenders, ambulances, etc. The question is, do we have intelligence and security officers in our country? Are our borders safe? Need serious answers to these questions. Alfred is texting from...
I don't know who can give those answers. Very, very difficult questions, and I think most of the answers would be very subjective. But to say blocking flights to and from China is discriminatory is very deceitful. The city of Wuhan, as the epicenter of the disease, is under lockdown. No one is allowed in or out of the city. Does it mean the city is being discriminated against? The truth is that the Patriotic Front government is so indebted to China that it has no spine to suspend travel between the countries, thereby risking the lives of Zambians. Sam Piri. I know somebody called Sam Piri.
That's a very strong stance,
and a journalist. It sounds very journalist kind of statement. Final messages.
Final messages there.
Wrap up.
Good evening, beautiful program. You have a Diamond. My expectations from the president tomorrow is resignation. Hey, let him step down because he has failed. But if he can't step down, please, for people to remember, you can he control the movement of Chinese people to and from China. Please, for the sake of the poor, because once coronavirus gets to Zambia, the Patriotic Front government is safe because they will leave Zambia with their families with money from Mukula tree deals.
That's below the belt. You should talk about high cost of living and unemployment and solutions, because the said value will be achieved only when this is worked out. That's according to Thomas. Those are opinions from you. We value them so much. Thank you for sending us those messages. And we're back Friday. It's Friday tomorrow on Diamond Live.
The week is just done.
It's gone so fast. I mean,
so fast
because people are not so happy. You know, they don't have money. But anyway, thank you for tuning in to tonight's edition of Diamond Live. My name is Jonah.
My name is Malama.
Oh, we gotta sensitize you on coronavirus.
Yes.
So
exactly.
That's what we're gonna close off. Just watch this and wash your hands. That's basically what the message is. And catch us tomorrow.
Good night.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the expert body on coronavirus, has released guidance for the general public and healthcare professionals on the symptoms of the virus. A person could be at risk if they have any or all of the following: fever and symptoms of lower respiratory illness, such as coughing or difficulty breathing after traveling to an area with the outbreak or having close contact with someone who is ill and is now an investigation for the virus in the past 2 weeks. Fever or symptoms of lower respiratory illness after having close contact in the past 2 weeks with someone who has been confirmed of having the virus. The CDC defined close contact as being in about 6 feet, 1.8 meters, or within a room or care area of a person with the coronavirus for a prolonged period without appropriate protective clothing, or having direct contact with the infectious secretions of a person with the virus without protective clothing. Coronaviruses are particularly dangerous for people with weaker immune systems like young children and older adults. To protect yourself from the virus, try to avoid contact with people who display symptoms similar to those of pneumonia or the common cold by coughing or a running nose. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer when possible. Avoid animals and animal markets. The only current treatment for coronavirus being offered is supportive in nature. If you notice any of these symptoms and conditions, please contact your nearest professional healthcare center and get help.